So sometimes I do cases for friends or friends of friends. Mostly they're just for the client's curiosity. And if they don't need information for court, I can do things for cheaper and just kind of answer some questions they have. But sometimes it's like a lying husband or a crazy neighbor or maybe a new engagement in the family that they're worried about, or checking up on an employee that might not be where they're supposed to be. So I was helping this friend of a friend who became my friend because, I mean, they tell me really private stuff and I tell them I will never tell anyone, even the friend that sent them to me. And if I see them around town, I say I'm just going to pretend I don't know you, just because I don't want anyone suspicious of them. So she was such an awesome lady and had been married for a really long time. She had been sent something anonymously that her husband was approaching women and asking them to dinner or lunch, which would lead to etc., etc. And he was doing this like at Costco. So weird. So she wanted to know where he was during the day because she had no idea if he was even going into work. So basically she would call me and say where he told her he was going, and I would follow him to see how often he was lying. The funny thing is he would tell her that he was like, oh, I'm gonna go help this old widow, or I'm gonna help this disabled veteran clean out their garage, trying to make himself look like a saint. And he would just like go to a parking lot and smoke something in his car that smells a lot like grass, or he would go to a parking lot and get out a secret stash of liquor in his car. And one time he called her from a strip club and told her he was on a work vacation, just reading in his hotel room. Basically lying all the time. So one day she called me and I just happened to be taking my kid to karate really close to her house. So I told her I had an hour and I would follow him and see where he went. And then she just mentioned that her dog had run away and they were all out looking for her and she was really worried. So I was like, hey, send me a picture of your dog just in case I see her while I'm driving around. So when I'm going back, so the husband goes to, one of his favorite parking lots. Another lie, of course. And on my way back to karate, I wove through this one neighborhood and I saw her dog. So I stopped my car. I looked around to see what treats I had, and I only had popcorn because that is my favorite thing to eat while I'm doing surveillance. It's like I'm watching a movie. So she comes to me and I get her in the car, and I was totally laughing to myself that I was following her husband, but then, oh, no problem. I'll just find your lost dog and bring her back to you. So I drove over to her house and I saw her teenage kids, so I gave them the dog, and then I hurried and got out of there. And her kids had no idea who I was, and I didn't want the husband to see me. And I was laughing because I just had this hour where the kid was at karate, and so I ran out, did a little surveillance, found a lost dog. It's just so funny.